Okay folks, we're getting ready to reassemble this shock, and I put some shock oil. I'm very particular about the shock fluid that I use. I like Maxima. I've used the Honda brand, which is pretty good. Those are the only two that are really slippery enough in my mind to have a nice good action. Slippery enough. And so what we're going to do is I put some in here. I've got my hand over here because now that this is freed up, it's opened up the passageway, and so oil will just run from here right over into here until they're even. But what I need to do is have a little bit higher level here so I can put this in and bleed it. So if you'll hold this over the top of it so I can pour a little oil on it, just kind of horizontal, yeah, just like that. And pour just a little bit of oil on this so that it's lubricated before we slide it in. I check things out. The piston's actually got some wear on it as expected, but it's not terrible. Very usable. New shim stack in there, so go ahead and put her on in, homie. So we're just going to slide her on in like this. You kind of got to wiggle it back and forth. If you go too fast, then you'll shoot it all over the ceiling. So. This is the bleeding process. You've got to get every last little bit of air out of here. No bubbles whatsoever. If you have that, it won't be very good shock action for you. So I'm going to start by just kind of going up and down. All kinds of bubbles coming through there. You hear them. Oh, excuse me.
Nice out.
Put a little bit more. I smell something. Something died, mate. This takes a while. Oh crap! Once you do that, you suck air in everywhere. Okay, we're going to let it sit for a minute. Just let the bubbles. Look how good Tai did. He cleaned this thing up. It looks like brand new. It's going to look like a new shock.
That's how we roll.
That's how we roll. So we're basically going to take that piston up and down, and they're getting the air out of it until there's no more bubbles. Leave it a little bit high, and then we're going to push this seal head back down in. We're going to pop the ring back in there, and then we'll put the bladder in next. So, but we're going to be bleeding for a while here, so we'll shut the camera off and then come back to it here in just a while, okay? Okay everybody, we got the seal head back in, we got the clip back in, we've got the dust cover back on, we're good to go there. Now we're putting the bladder back in, and what you do is you put a little bit of grease around the inside of the bladder, reattach it to the bladder cap, put a slight bit of grease on the outside so it goes in, and you fill it with 5 psi of air. Okay, you're going to let that out, but then you want a little bit of pressure when you put that in. So we're going to go ahead and slowly work it in. It's going to spooge out all over, as we say. There we go. You don't want to compress the bladder too much, but put that baby in like so. Put the clip ring in. We're basically there. I'm just going to pull this up a little bit so that it seats up against the clip ring, and the shock is rebuilt. That's it. Now we're going to wipe her all off. Clean her up real good. I'm going to let the air out of here. There we go. And the reason you do that is you don't want the bladder to collapse because you've got too much fluid in there. You want to keep that bladder somewhat open. And now all we got to do is recharge it. I've got a container here with nitrogen. We're going to recharge it, and the shock basically will be done. So we just have to assemble the spring on it, reset it to 9 7/8, and we're good to go. So in just a couple seconds here. Actually, I'll bring it over right now, and we'll charge the nitrogen real quick. Special type of head, you can order those. What it allows you to do is keep pressure off of the Schrader valve while you're threading it on. I want to make sure there's no air in there. There's now no air in there. Basically thread this on. It's going to create a nice tight seal with the bladder cap. And then we're going to start. There we go, it's just turning the bladder cap now, so it's tight enough. I want to make sure our pressure's off our regulator. We're going to open up the air. We're going to slowly turn in, opening up the bladder, or excuse me, the Schrader valve on the cap, and then we're going to use this to tighten, to increase the pressure. And after doing some research, we're going to go at 150 pounds. 128 is stock, 180 is the high end. We're going to go right very close in the middle, a little bit on the low end, about 150, 154 or so. Now what we're going to do is we're going to loosen this so that there's no way that air can come back out of that bladder. I've tightened this off so no more will go into there. I'm going to loosen this to take pressure off of the diaphragm, and then as I loosen this, you're going to hear some air escape, well, some nitrogen escape. That's very normal. It's just what's left in the hose. That's it. She's charged up, ready to go, and if it's right, I'm going to push down this shaft, and it should kind of push itself back up. It's off. Let's just test it out. It's going to take some force. There it goes. It goes back up all on its own. Good. So she's ready to go. Now we're just going to put the spring and stuff back on, which won't bore you with those details. We'll reset the length to 9 7/8 and then show you what the finished product looks like, okay? Booyah! Booyah! Alright, so shop safety. Got my goggles on, my glasses on finally. Master EveRide, here is your completed, rebuilt rear shock. It has been completely disassembled. It's been completely cleaned. Every last part inside has been removed, cleaned. We have fresh, brand new shock oil in there. We have a brand new charge of fresh nitrogen. We have revalved the shim stack on your compression side to add some low-speed dampening and reduce the high-speed dampening, which I think is going to make it a much, much better ride. You're going to have less fatigue, and when we get it set up, you should be great. Now, the nice thing about this is if you like the way the shim stack is, this can last you for now many, many years of riding and motovlogging that we all get to enjoy because you do an awesome job with that, and we just love to watch them, and when we're working and stuff, we enjoy it. So if we make you happy and enjoy your bike, we're going to enjoy the vlogs you come out with. The other thing to mention is this adjusting screw was seized. It is no longer seized. We have freed that up so we can make some adjustments to kind of fine tune it. But So everybody, hope you enjoyed that R&R video for rear shock on a DRZ 400. This is a year 2000. Probably have to break it up into 2 segments. We've got a lot of information on there. If you need any help, just let us know. So happy riding, folks, and EveRide, we hope you're okay with what we did with your shock. If not, too bad, homie. Okay, homies, we're back down here. The shock is back in the bike. All set up, ready to go. Nice shiny yellow spring for those who like the bling factor. We set the spring a little bit tighter than 9 7/8 because we're going to be adding a little bit of weight to the back of the bike as a starting point. I set the compression dampening 12 clicks out. Go all the way clockwise, light bottoming, and then back it out 12. Rebound is 12 out just as a starting point. When we start riding and testing, we'll get her dialed in. So that's the end of this episode. Stay tuned for the next one, which will be tearing out the front forks, setting those babies up to match the rear shock. So stay tuned.